Hello, Hofstra fans. This is Rachel Vogel, and today, once again, I am joined by the head women's basketball coach of the Hofstra women's basketball team, Danielle Santos Atkinson. Coach, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing well. So the Pride went 1-1 this week. You played U Albany and Stony Brook. U Albany obviously at home, and Stony Brook on the road. Um, Most recently lost last night against Stony Brook, but came away with a 63-45 win against Albany this past week. Coach, just open up by talking about your thoughts about how this week went for the Pride.
Yeah, well, I mean, that first game was a really good game for us. It was a game where we were able to put a lot of things together versus Albany that we've been trying to do all year, and so we want to be able to look to run and push and transition, and we really did that well versus Albany. One of the things that helped us do that was our presence on defense, the amount of turnovers that we were able to force, and the points off of those turnovers. A lot of them came in transition, and so for us being able to play the way we did, as aggressive as we did defensively, and be able to convert those into points in transition, it's one of the things we've been trying to put together and work on all year long. We also did a good job of taking care of the ball and limiting some opportunities for them. And the other thing we did is we shot the ball fairly well, and so really proud of how we stepped up offensively and hit some big shots throughout that game. On the flip side, in Stony Brook, I felt as though we stuttered a bit in what we had been working on and what we had improved on to that point defensively. And so to start the game, it was pretty tough. We got in foul trouble really early. I want to say in the first 5 minutes, we had at least two or three people with two fouls. And that was tough. I think it halted our rhythm some. Both into the floor, we got a good bit of fouls called. But again, defensively for us, we didn't have the same aggressiveness and the same presence that we had versus Albany. They shot the ball a lot better in that game. In reverse, they were able to force us into 27 turnovers. And so turning the ball over 27 times they got 27 points off of our turnovers. We turned it over 25 times, but turning the ball over 25 times, it's really tough to win games and to be in the ball game when you turn it over that many times. Proud of the way they fought back. We brought it in to, I think, within 6 or 5. But it's tough. Yeah, 4. When you get in that big hole and you get down by so much, it's tough to have to use all that energy to come back.
So let's talk about your defensive strategy against U Albany. Albany came out kind of quick out of the gates. They scored a couple 3-pointers, and I know coming from the game previously, you were not going to accept that right out of the gates. Following that, you shut them down, and they went 0 for 17 beyond the arc. So what was your strategy talking to the team, and how were you able to close in on them?
Yeah, that was one of our focuses going into that game. Obviously, in that game prior, we had given up a lot of 3-point shots, and we had to make sure, whether we were in man or zone, that we had a heightened focus of making sure all that we didn't allow any open threes, and we'd like to not give up any threes at all. We want to be able to force people to put the ball on the floor and force them into contested shots. We had to make sure, and we talked through where the shooters, where are they on the floor. We changed up the defenses a good bit, and so we tried to keep them on their heels, switching from man to zone and changing up our ball screen coverages. I think that helped us keep our energy up, and it helped us have a better idea of where the shooters were on the floor, because we had to have a heightened focus in making sure we were in the correct defenses.
Now, Coach, you mentioned against Stony Brook, you got down by quite a few points, down by 21 points. And I know you don't want to put yourself in that situation. And then you have been in that situation a little bit this season, but it seems like every single game that the Pride is coming back. Pitt, you're down by as many as 21, and you got within 6, and Stony Brook last night. And then I know Fairfield, Hofstra used a 12-0 something run in the fourth quarter. So speak of the relentless determination that your team has.
Yeah, I mean, they find a way, and that's what we want to be all about this year. Figure it out and find a way, and that's what I think that's what we've done in those situations where we found ourselves down by a large number. It doesn't matter the score, we got to figure it out and find a way. And so I think how they like you said, that relentless that relentless competitiveness. We see it in those moments. I'd like for us to, in those games, not put ourselves in that opportunity and in that space. And I think that's where we can improve, and where we're going to continue to improve, is not allowing ourselves to get in those situations. We obviously have it in us to be able to fight our way out of it. So I want us to be able to have that same fight to keep from getting in that position, which this team is really working really hard to work towards.
And then so far this season, you've got 3 players who've all reached double figures in all but one game. That would be Ja'Kayla Brown, Jashani Knight, and Jalen Hines. So I know we've spoken about this in previous shows, but what is it like being able to turn to anybody on the floor at any time? And I know Jayla had 2 games where she didn't reach double figures, but she is somebody that is on the floor that is capable of scoring double-digit games on very frequent occasions. So that's almost a whole entire handful of players that you have that you can turn to on any given day. So what does that mean for you?
Yeah, that definitely helps us when other teams and opponents want to key in on particular players on our team. It helps that we have the ability to score from multiple positions. I think when we have that, it's tough for us to it's tough for us to be defended, and defenses have to again try different things to take out some of our players. The great thing about that is, I mean, everybody's not going to be perfect every night, so also the ability to lean on different people and to lean on each other throughout the game in order to be able to spread some of that scoring responsibility is also helpful in making sure that we have a serious threat on the offensive end of the floor.
And now looking ahead, you've got 2 more non-conference games left. Fordham coming up on Friday, and Mount St. Mary's coming up on the 22nd. Fordham, a very tough opponent last year. You played at their place last year, but you didn't play the team in general. It was the Fordham Holiday Invitational. But Fordham, a very tough team, probably going through some adversity of their own. But what is practice looking like this week heading into that game?
For sure, Fordham is a very quick team that can score the ball. And anytime you have that, a team that can put the ball in the basket, it makes it very tough. And so for us, we again have to get back at our working on our defensive presence and our defensive aggressiveness and what that looks like. And so for us, that's got to be our identity this year. We have to be able to go out and defend teams and make it tough for teams to score. We've got to be able to go out and generate some turnovers that can turn into offense for us. And so these next 2 days, that's what we'll be working on. How do we get back to the fundamentals of us defensively, and then again working offensively to continue to share the ball, to continue to work together in transition, and making sure when we're forced to play in the half court that we're all on the same page and we have a good rhythm there.
Okay, Coach. Well, once again, best of luck this Friday against Fordham, and we'll be looking forward to tuning in. Make sure fans, you tune on ESPN Plus on Friday night. And Coach, thank you very much for taking the time, and best of luck on Friday.
Thank you.